The rearview mirror isn't just a piece of glass anymore. It's a strobe light of neon blue and piercing red, bouncing off the dashboard and vibrating in your chest. Your heart is a trapped bird slamming against your ribs. You feel that cold, heavy weight in the center console. It's legal. You have the permit. You're one of the good guys. But as the silhouette of an officer blocks out your side mirror, moving with a hand hovering inches from his holster, you realize that none of that matters right now. One wrong syllable, one twitch of a finger, and you aren't a citizen anymore. You're a statistic. The window rolls down. The air that hits your face is cold, but you're sweating. The officer doesn't ask for your license. He doesn't ask how your night is going. He leans in, the smell of rain and starch following him, and he drops the question that changes the molecular structure of the room. Are you carrying a firearm? Listen to me very closely. What you do in the next 5 seconds is the difference between a story you tell at dinner and a tragedy your family watches on the evening news. I am not being dramatic. I'm not being an alarmist. I'm telling you that the legal system is a ghost, and right now you are dealing with a human being who is just as terrified as you are. This is about survival. This is about making it home. Because there is a trap hidden inside that question. And if you fall into it, there's no way back. Think about Philando Castile. It was 2016 in Minnesota. A broken taillight. That was the crime. Philando was a law-abiding man. He had a permit. He was calm. He told the officer he had a gun. He did what he thought the handbook said to do. And then, as he reached for his identification, exactly what the officer asked for, he was shot 7 times. His girlfriend was in the seat next to him. His daughter was in the back. They watched the light leave his eyes because of a misunderstanding of movement. He was honest. He was polite. He was dead. That is the reality we are navigating. When an officer asks if you have a weapon, they aren't looking for a conversation. They're looking for a threat. Their training has hammered into their brains that every single traffic stop could be their last. They are looking at your hands. They are looking at your eyes. They are looking for the slightest hint of a reach. The moment the word gun enters the air, the tension spikes to 1,000 volts. The first mistake people make is the most natural one. They say, "Yeah, officer, I've got a gun. Stop." Right there. You just lost control of the situation. To you, that sentence means I'm a responsible gun owner being transparent. To the officer, his brain only registered one word. Gun. He didn't hear, "I have." He didn't hear officer. He heard a declaration of a lethal threat. His adrenaline just dumped into his bloodstream. His hand is now on his weapon. He's looking at you like a target, not a person. The second mistake is the reach. You think you're being helpful. You want to show him your permit to prove you're legal. You reach for your wallet in your back pocket. You reach for the glove box. But from the officer's perspective, through a tinted window in the dark of night, a reach for a permit looks identical to a reach for a 9mm. Your intentions are invisible. Only your movements are real. The third mistake is the lie. You think if you just say no, you can avoid the drama. But if you are in a state with a duty to inform, or if that officer has a reason to search that vehicle and he finds a weapon you denied having, you are no longer a person with a broken taillight. You are now a person who lied to a federal agent about a lethal weapon. You're going to be ripped out of that car, face first into the pavement, and you will be facing criminal charges that will strip you of your rights forever. So, how do we survive this? How do we navigate 50 different states with 50 different sets of laws? You need a protocol that is bulletproof. You need a set of words that act as a psychological kill switch for the officer's fear. Before the officer even touches your door, the work starts. If those lights are behind you, pull over in a well-lit area if possible. Turn off the engine. If it's dark, turn on your interior dome light. Why? Because fear lives in the shadows. If he can see inside your car, he can see you aren't a threat. Now place your hands at 10 and 2 on the steering wheel. Do not look for your registration. Do not look for your wallet. Do not move. Let him see your empty palms. This is the universal sign of peace. When he asks that question, are you carrying a gun? You do not say the word gun. You use the language of the law. You say these exact words. Officer, for your safety and mine, I want to let you know that I have a valid concealed carry permit, and I am currently armed. Why does this work? Look at the structure. You started with, for your safety and mine. You just signaled that you are on his team. You aren't a combatant. You are a partner in keeping the situation calm. Then, you said valid permit. You established immediately that you are a law-abiding citizen. You aren't a criminal with a ghost gun. You are a person the state has vetted and cleared. But you aren't done. You follow that up immediately with the most important part of the protocol. Do not move your hands. While they are still on the wheel, you say, my firearm is located in the center console. My hands are staying right here on the steering wheel. Officer, how would you like me to proceed? That last sentence is the magic. How would you like me to proceed? By asking that, you have just handed the steering wheel of the interaction over to him. You have forced his brain to move from a state of reactive fear into a state of cognitive planning. He now has to give you instructions. He's in control. And when a nervous person feels in control, they stop being dangerous. If he says, "I want you to step out of the car," you don't just jump out. You ask for the next step. "Officer, I am going to unbuckle my seatbelt now. Is that okay?" You narrate every single movement like you're describing a movie to a blind person. You're removing the element of surprise. Surprise is what gets people killed. Now, let's talk about the law, because this is where it gets complicated. You have a Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable searches and seizures. In many states, if an officer asks if you have a weapon and you aren't in a duty to inform state, you technically don't have to tell him. You could say, "Officer, I don't consent to any searches. Am I free to go? But I want you to be very careful with that." In a courtroom, that's a great move. On a dark highway at 2 a.m., it can be a death sentence. Cops are trained that the presence of a weapon allows them to perform what's called a Terry frisk. If they have a reasonable suspicion that you are armed and dangerous, they can legally pull you out and pat you down for their safety. The Supreme Court has given them a lot of leeway here. If you play the "I don't have to tell you anything" card with an officer who is already on edge, he is going to find a reason to make that stop as difficult and dangerous as possible. The strategy I'm giving you, the disclosure of the permit first, is designed to de-escalate the human, not just win the legal argument. If you tell him you have a permit, you are telling him you're one of the good guys. Most officers will relax. Some might even thank you. They might ask you to just keep it where it is and give you a warning for the speeding ticket because they appreciate the honesty. But what if you do everything right and the officer still loses it? What if he draws his weapon? What if he's screaming at you to get out, but you're afraid to move your hands? This is the game of chicken you cannot afford to lose. If a barrel is pointed at you, you become a statue. Do not argue. Do not shout about your rights. Do not reach for your phone to record. You stay perfectly still. You speak in a low, calm voice. "Officer, I am not moving. My hands are on the wheel. Tell me exactly what you want me to do." You have to understand the psychology of the person on the other side of that glass. They are running on a cocktail of cortisol and training videos that show officers being ambushed. If you move too fast, their lizard brain takes over. You have to be the one to bring the temperature down. You have to be the professional in the car, even if they aren't being the professional on the pavement. And this applies to your passengers too. If you're carrying and you have a friend in the seat next to you, they need to know the drill. If they start reaching under the seat to hide their own nervousness, or if they start getting mouthy with the officer, they are putting your life in jeopardy. A passenger's movement is just as lethal in the eyes of a cop as the driver's. Their hands need to be on the dashboard, visible, open, empty. The goal of every traffic stop isn't to win a debate. It's to get the officer to go back to his cruiser, write a ticket or a warning, and walk away. That's it. You can fight the ticket in court. You can file a complaint against the officer later if he was rude or out of line. But you can't do any of that from a coffin. Remember the phrasing. It is your shield. Step 1, hands on the wheel, lights on, engine off. Step 2, officer, I have a valid permit and I am armed. Step 3, state the location of the weapon without touching it. Step 4, how would you like me to proceed? Those words are designed to navigate the minefield of state laws. Whether you're in a duty to inform state or constitutional carry state, this protocol protects you. If you're in a state where you don't have to say anything, but you choose to disclose, you've used your permit as a badge of credibility. If you're in a state where you must inform, you've done so in a way that doesn't trigger a panic response. You are a gun owner because you believe in protection. You believe in being prepared for the worst case scenario. Well, this is a version of that scenario. A traffic stop is a high-stakes encounter where the rules of engagement are written in real time. If you treat it with the same respect and discipline that you treat your firearm at the range, you will walk away. Don't let your ego get in the way of your safety. Don't let a misunderstanding of your rights lead to a tragedy. The law is a powerful tool, but it's a slow one. It works in months and years. Adrenaline works in milliseconds. You have to survive the milliseconds, so you can live to use the years. Keep your hands where he can see them. Use the words I gave you. Ask for instructions. Stay calm when he isn't. You are the master of your own survival in that moment. You have the power to turn a high-voltage situation into a routine interaction just by using the right vocabulary and the right body language. And once that officer walks away, and you're sitting there in the silence of your car, breathing again, you'll realize that the most powerful weapon you had wasn't in the console. It was the words you chose to say. But what happens if the officer doesn't ask about a gun? What if he leans in, sniffs the air, and says those 4 words that can ruin your life in a completely different way? I smell alcohol. If you think the gun question is a trap, you haven't seen anything yet. There's a whole different set of magic words for that situation, and if you get them wrong, you're looking at a jail cell, regardless of how safe you were being. Click the next video, and I'll tell you exactly how to handle the smell of alcohol trap before the handcuffs come out. I'll see you over there.